All right, great. It's 1 o'clock. So I'm calling the September 2nd, 2025 meeting of the Albemarle County Architectural Review Board to order. We could call the roll, please.
Mr. Henningsen,
Here.
Mr. Hancock,
Here.
Mr. Messino,
Here.
and Mr. Stoner and Mr. Vanderwerf are both absent.
Great. Today's meeting is a hybrid meeting. The public may access and participate in the meeting electronically. Instructions for doing so are posted on the Albemarle County website at the Albemarle County calendar. The public has real-time audiovisual access to this meeting over Zoom and real-time audio access over telephone. Both is provided in the lawfully posted meeting notice. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the county's website. This meeting is a public record and subject to disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act. All speakers, when it is your turn to speak, please first state your name for the record. Applicants who are making presentations, note that your presentation is limited to a total of 15 minutes, which you can divide among your team members. Staff will let us know when the 15 minutes are up. If applicants in the meeting room have team members attending virtually who will need to present, please make that known when you come to the podium. Everyone who is participating virtually, please mute your microphone until it is your turn to speak. Do any ARB members have anything to disclose?
No.
Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment about a project that is not on the agenda?
Good afternoon. Neil Williamson with the Free Enterprise Forum. Back about, I want to say 10 years ago, you used to have to get a special use permit to erect a drive-through in Albemarle County. Every one of those special use permits came through with the same conditions. They ended up creating a uniform policy for dealing with those, and they were able to be approved at the staff level. I tell this story because as I read the applications today for the solar panels, it seems to me there is some continuity in the concerns and conditions. Considering Albemarle County's firm commitment to environmental stewardship, it would seem reasonable to create standards that staff could review and would be one less barrier to putting solar panels in the entrance corridor. That would be the ARB voting to exclude the ARB from ARB review. If you set up those standards and something comes through outside of that, staff can always bump it up to you. But it would seem as though that would be a simple, easy function. It will require staff time, but consider the staff time associated with 3 applications going through the ARB process. If we want to encourage environmental stewardship and alternative energy sources throughout the county, including the entrance corridors, setting up such standards would create predictability for applicants and speed of approval. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any other members of the public? We don't have any consent agenda items today. We have 4 regular review items today. The first is ARB 2025-18, Carter Machinery, major amendment.
Good afternoon, everybody. The application being reviewed today is a major amendment to establish a construction equipment rental facility, in addition to associated site improvements. The site is located at 721 Rio Road West, Northside Libraries to the west, and several commercial properties are to the north and east. Architectural drawings provided with the submittal show the addition of an ACM clad structure to the facade. It includes a new storefront entrance that is topped with an aluminum canopy and flanked by storefront windows. On either side of the structure, 2 windows are being added in existing brick. The design of this element is largely contemporary, but it introduces visual interest and helps soften the utilitarian appearance of the facade. However, the different roof shapes, the points where the structure meets the existing roof overhang, and the proportions of the new windows in the brick wall could all be better coordinated. Based on the floor plans, 3 new windows and pedestrian entrance are being added to the west elevation, in addition to the existing bay door and pedestrian entrance. The appearance of the east elevation is largely unknown due to the existing structure along this elevation that is yet to be demolished, but the visible portions resemble the west elevation, which is clad in corrugated metal panels and largely a feature of this and in need of maintenance. Details on these elevations are needed to determine compatibility and appropriateness. The architectural drawings indicate a signage area above the canopy. Details of the sign's appearance have not been provided, but it appears that a cabinet sign or backer panel may be proposed. The entrance quarter sign guidelines recommend using individual chain of letters for wall signs to minimize visual interruption. Any signage must be coordinated with the building's architectural detailing. Regarding site landscaping, the plan being shown are expected to help integrate the site and storage area into the surrounding context, but based on the number of parking spaces shown, 1 more large shade tree is required. Revising the landscape plan to replace 1 parking space along the frontage with a parking island will provide space for this large shade tree. The approved concept plan showed security fencing along the western and northern perimeters of the storage area. However, the site plan labels all fencing as chain link fencing. The gate along the western perimeter and the fencing along the northern section are expected to be visible from the entrance quarter, so neither can be chain link fencing. After the staff report was completed, staff received some additional drawings that showed the east and west elevation. Staff recommends the revisions outlined in the staff report, as well as additional changes based on the new elevations to be discussed at a future ARB meeting. And the recommendations or revisions that staff noted based off of the elevations reviewed was building mounted lighting was shown as not full cutoff, and then need to be revised to be full cutoff, and more coordination between what is existing and proposed is needed in the material schedule and the notes on elevations. I would be happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. I guess I'll start with Tara if you have any questions.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Right?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Chris. I don't have any questions either. If the applicant has a presentation, that would be the time.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Byer, the architect on the project, and I brought with me Carter Berkey, the owner's representative. And I also brought some visual aids to kind of show the material that we were looking for on this project. Carter Machinery is a dealer for cat equipment, and with that, they're a high-end dealer, and so we want to introduce a high-end product here on Rio Road. So we would be introducing ACM panel, as Chris stated, along with recladding with corrugated metal panel and brick to match the elevations that are shown here, which is the Richmond headquarters for their project. As for the landscaping, I believe you guys have already seen this plan before when we applied for a special use permit for the yard storage. And so, any questions?
All right, well, thanks a lot. Yes, Frank, do you have any questions?
Sure. Thank you for your presentation. Curious about the change of plane, or does that, it was called the tower element in the staff report, does that protrude out from the existing brick at all, or is that in the same plane?
It protrudes out the distance of a wall thickness, so about 8 inches.
Oh, okay. And that the brick flanking it on either side is the existing brick?
Correct, yes.
Is there any storefront windows or anything along that facade, or is it just the doors? Is it?
So the storefronts kind of go from the edge of the canopy to edge of canopy, and then along with the new windows within the brick themselves.
So surrounding the doors
Yes,
will all be
Yeah.
glass.
correct.
We can look
yeah.
in. Is that like your lobby?
Yeah, so it will be a sales area where we'll have small equipment inside, kind of like a car dealership where you can see through the glass.
And that roof line, that's the existing roof line.
Correct.
You're not changing that at all?
No.
I know it's really tight, like there's a sidewalk that runs right up against the building. How wide is that sidewalk?
It'll be 5 feet.
It's 5 feet. Is that existing or is that new?
It will be new.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any more questions.
Thanks. Tara?
So, thank you for the presentation. So and then the existing roof line, that's projected out from that 8 inches a little bit more? Like, is that existing roof
So
to
the
remain?
plan would be
or-
to cut that back so that it's even with the brick.
Okay, so it'll be flush with the brick and then back from the
From the
the
ACM.
new ACM. Okay.
Yes,
And when you're turning back the ACM, it's just like an 8-inch ACM panel on the side there, or
Correct,
there's like a
yeah.
corner piece or something? Okay.
yes.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I guess, my question is, so you're familiar with the staff report, you saw all the, comments and everything. Was there anything generally, I thought they were pretty reasonable, but, is there anything that you thought, we should start discussion on or anything?
Speaking with the landscape architect, I think there is concern about adding another large shade tree, as there's power lines running along the front of the property. And, the parking is already tight, especially with the library right next to it, so losing a spot, would not be ideal.
Thank you. I guess, are there any members of the public who want to make a comment?
We don't have anyone online.
In that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. I guess we'll start with Frank.
Sure. I mean, I appreciate the introduction of the ACM panel. And I do think contextually that makes sense. I think there's some, industrial kind of influence here with some of the buildings, especially next door with the library, that I think relate to that. I appreciate kind of the retrofit. I agree formally, there's some things that don't feel quite right, like with the way that interrupts the facade, but again, it kind of, to me, works with some of the other architecture in this corridor or along this corridor. I do think there seems to be a fair amount of parking, so I would agree with the staff comment to add that back if possible. And you do have the extra width. I think it's a 26-foot drive aisle, so there's a little extra width there. I don't know. I feel like we've talked about the sidewalk maybe at the special use permit stage, but knowing that, especially if you have that element protruding out some, that gets kind of skinny. But just encourage the applicant to look at that. And I agree. I think the screening is good. I think that all tracks with what we looked at the special use permit, but yeah, we can't have the chain link fence. I do appreciate too the western kind of facade and how you formalize that before it, like currently it's just asphalt from the face of the building to the face of, or across the drive aisle that goes to the library parking. So I appreciate you adding that island and delineating, how that'll be service and how that traffic will flow through there. So I think that's a big improvement. And I think that facade is going to be really visible from the entrance corridor too. So yeah, those are my comments.
All right, thanks. Tara?
Yeah, I think that I think based on the clarifications that the architect provided on the plane of the ACM panel versus the edge of the roof, the brick, helps me understand a little bit more about how that is working exactly. So I don't have any particular issues with the material itself, and I think the way that it's proposed has sort of like a formal logic, it makes sense. I agree with Frank on the single tree. I think there probably are opportunities that it could be introduced. But overall, I appreciate the applicant, working to make this a project that fits in the corridor, and I think that the landscaping strategy go a long way towards that, and building design as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree with what's been said also. I'm interested to see what the side elevations are like, but I think the front elevation, as presented, looks like it's a fairly elegant way to transform industrial building. So as I kind of previewed it, thought the staff comments were generally pretty reasonable. And I agree about the tree also, like if you can, it'd be good. So we could take a look at the recommended motion.
You can have a seat now if you want to.
The recommended motion was to provide the applicant with this list of comments that appear in the staff report to be addressed with a revised submittal to come back to you for review.
Right. Does anybody have any tweaks or adjustments to any of the conditions?
Scroll down, is that all?
I think those look consistent and with the discussion, or any changes.
I don't either.
All right, great. In that case, I guess I move to provide the applicant with the comments listed in the staff report to be addressed with the revised submittal for review by the ARB. If anybody's interested in seconding.
I'll second.
All right, we could put that to a vote.
Mr. Mitsuno,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. So we'll move on to our next item, which is ARB 2025-19, High School Center 2 Solar.
This is a proposal to install solar panels on the rooftop of the High School Center 2 building. The school is located on the hydraulic road, or being constructed on the hydraulic road entrance corridor. It's about 270 feet from the street. The site will be visible for an approximate distance of 1,300 feet along the corridor. Solar panels are proposed for the main roofs of the building. Panels are black with aluminum frames. Each panel measures approximately 7 feet 6 inches by 3 feet 9 inches by 1.4 inches. The panels would be mounted at an angle to the roof surface, with the tops of the panels at a maximum height of about 12 inches above the roof. The panels are to be arranged in parallel rows aligned with the prominent roof edges. The hydraulic road entrance corridor is elevated above the site, so some visibility of the panels is expected. A parking lot separates the building from the entrance corridor. The trees in and around the parking lot will help reduce views of the building and its roofs and the solar panels, particularly in the months when no leaves are on the trees. As you know, there are entrance corridor guidelines for equipment. They say equipment should be integrated into the plan of development. should be compatible with the building design, its visibility should be eliminated, and it should be screened if still visible after appropriate sighting. In this case, the solar panels are proposed in locations where they need to be to function properly. Visibility won't be completely eliminated, but it will be minimized by, again, the distance from the street and the trees between the building and the street, and that minimal projection above the roof. For those reasons, the mounting close to the roof and the organized parallel rows, those are two criteria that you do find typically in localities who have guidelines specific to solar panel installation, which we do not have at the moment. But for those reasons that the panels are expected to be minimized, we are recommending approval of the proposal. Mr. Williamson got a jump start on my next recommendation. We do recommend that the ARB adopt specific guidelines for solar installations, which we can bring back to you at a future meeting. And we can arrange that as a countywide certificate for staff level review. But for this proposal, we are recommending approval. To try to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks a lot for the presentation. We will start with Farah.
You had mentioned that other localities have guidelines. Do you know which ones those are?
Yeah.
What do you remember from your review?
Yeah, there are just a few that are that have entrance corridors, and there's just not many of them. And I did not bring all that information today because I did hope to do it at a future date with the details. There are more examples of localities that have local historic districts and have guidelines.
But not general, like they might pertain to a specific district, but it doesn't necessarily pertain to the corridor the same way that we do, where there is this mix of new development and.
Well, in the historic districts, they have guidelines that focus on not damaging historic material, and that's usually the first concern, which you wouldn't necessarily have in the entrance corridor. But they do share concerns about obviously decreasing or minimizing visibility, keeping panels as close to the roof as possible, having them in an organized pattern, not everyone, sort of distributed willy-nilly all over the roofs, that sort of thing.
Great.
We can definitely bring you back more detail.
Great, sorry to ask something that's a little bit over this particular item, but okay, good, thank you.
Thanks. Frank?
I don't have any questions. Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah, me either. So if the applicant has a presentation, now would be the time.
Have something important.
Yes. Let's try.
While he's getting that set up, my name is Kagan Squire. I'm the project manager for Center 2. I'm a representative, obviously, on this project. We have our consultants here, both from Quinn Evans, the design firm, and then Madison Energy, the installer. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but we have a quick presentation just to kind of give an idea as to what it's going to look like.
Thank you all for the opportunity. I'm familiar with the building. So here's just a few images to kind of add to what was shared already. You've seen this view before. The solar panels are on the building. In this view, they're nearly invisible from the ground in and around the building, of course, just because of the height. But if we click to the next one, see the image you already saw there, just showing how they're organized as tightly as they can be. The dimension from the roof edge ranges a little bit, just depending on the geometry of the panels, but it's generally anywhere from 5 to 10 feet back, which is typical. There will be very small enough that you couldn't really illustrate the renderings, but there will be some fall protection, just the stainless steel cable type that runs around the perimeter of the roof that'll be there, maybe visible from the ground in some places, or if you're really trying hard to see it, but small enough that I feel like we would be able to adequately illustrate it at this kind of scale. Next, please. Again, these are the panels, very typical panels sitting on those racks that are also very common. And they shouldn't be any more than about 10 inches off the roof. Of course, there is some slopes and some crickets to the roof edge, so I can't say exactly, that with precision what that height is, but it'll all be about that same elevation. So this is similar to some of the images you saw a moment ago. We're kind of at I'd say the midpoint of that stretch of hydraulic road across the front of that one parking lot to the south, where you can see the building. We've eliminated the trees from the rendering just so you have a clear view. And of course, the image is small, but you can see that the panels are just barely visible at that distance, just gonna kind of blend in the dark color of the room. You can, if you're looking hard, you may notice them, but I think if you're just driving along, they'll be barely visible. So especially with the trees, as was noted, they're just gonna disappear. That was all we had.
All right, well, thanks a lot. Yes, we'll start with Frank. Do you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you for your presentation.
Tara?
Are there any associated pieces of equipment, like other than the panels, like, I don't know, like an electrical panel or I don't know, some other piece of associated electrical equipment that's not shown in these?
Nothing that's on the roof or would be visible. Everything else, of course, there are panels and transfer switches and things that are down in the electrical room or on the back of the building, in the mechanical yard, which is screened. All the conduits are run within the building, so it'll be concealed.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. So thank you very much. Are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
I don't have anybody.
ACRB will now go into discussion.
Yeah, I appreciate the applicant's presentation. I agree with staff's comments around the orderly placement of the panels and the consistency of their application is a main reason why I think that these differ from mechanical equipment in some ways and align with the intent of the design guidelines and others. I think also by the fact that a lot of these systems are pretty modular, that some of the issues that you might run into with mechanical equipment, like ductwork that gets installed in a funky way that does have pretty significant negative impacts, are a lot less likely in these types of scenarios. And so I am inclined to, when we're looking at the guidelines, that there's good reason to think about why this application and others might be totally appropriate in the entrance corridor. And so I think it's great to be able to see and appreciate the level of rigor that both staff and the applicant have made, and I think that this is a appropriate addition to the application we've already seen, and doesn't change my opinion of whether or not it's appropriate for the entrance corridor.
Great, thanks. Frank?
Well said, Tara. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think it's entirely appropriate for this corridor. And I do appreciate staff bringing forward kind of some guidance on how we can review this moving forward and what makes the most sense to be in the guidelines or not, how it's reviewed. So thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I agree with what Tara said. So I think there is kind of a difference between a solar panel and other rooftop mounted mechanical equipment. And I think in this case, the topography is kind of working against them, and that you're looking down on the roof, whereas, if the site was higher than the entrance corridor, it wouldn't even be an issue. So I don't think that fact should be held against that. So I had no concerns about it. So if we could take a look at the recommended motion.
The recommendation here is for approval of the proposal. With there is the one condition that just says any new equipment not included with this proposal is still subject to peer review.
I'll move for approval of the proposal with the condition listed in the staff report as follows. Number 1, as written. And I'll second that if we can put that to the vote.
Mr. Henningsen,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsino.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Our next application is ARB 2025-20 Albemarle High School Solar.
So this is a proposal to install solar panels on the rooftop of the existing Albemarle High School. Very close to the site we were just discussing. This building is located approximately 350 feet from Hydraulic Road. And again, this site is visible for about 1,300 feet along. Solar panels are proposed for most of the rooftops of this building. It excludes the lower roof at the southern end of the building, which would have greater visibility. It excludes the section to the left of the main entrance as you're facing the building. Also excludes the northeast corner of the building and areas that already have equipment on them. The panels are, again, black with aluminum frames. Each one measures approximately 7.5 feet by 3 feet 9 inches by 1.4 inches. The panels here would be mounted with a tilt of 10 degrees, but that would place the tops of the panels at a maximum height of 15 inches above the roof. The panels are organized in parallel rows. In most cases, they're aligned with the edges of the roofs for an organized appearance. Again, the elevation of Hydraulic Road is generally at or above the elevation of the building's roofs, and this allows for views of the lower rooftops and objects on those rooftops, as well as views of rooftop elements on the taller roofs. And as we saw in their first example, there are parking lots between the building and the entrance corridor. There are trees in and around those parking lots, so those will help minimize visibility. There is an assortment of equipment already existing on this building. Much of it is visible from the entrance corridor. Again, as you know, entrance corridor guidelines have guidelines for equipment. Talks about integrating them into the plan of development, being compatible with the building design, trying to eliminate visibility, and screening if it's still visible after appropriate siting. In this case, again, the solar panels are proposed where they need to be to function properly. Visibility won't be completely eliminated, but again, it would be minimized by the distance from the street, the trees between the building and the street, and the minimal projection above the roof. Because of that minimized visibility, our recommendation is for approval as submitted.
All right, well, thanks a lot for the presentation. Yes, Frank, you have any questions?
I don't. Thank you, Margaret.
Tara?
No, thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, me either. I don't have any questions. If the applicant has a presentation,
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Noah Carter with Madison Energy, here helping represent Albemarle County Public Schools. Thank you for that presentation. I don't have much to add, very similar to the one you just heard, but I will reiterate a couple points. The first point being, we've established that these are low profile, angled, ballasted systems. So we're only looking at 12 to 15 inches off the roof. On the side of the building that is facing the entrance corridor, the arrays are on a profile view, so you're really only going to be seeing the side of those panels, which is going to be very difficult to see with the naked eye at 350 feet. The biggest visual impact will be to the southern roof. There's a small section of road where you can see the top of that roof very clearly from the road, but as we've noted, there is existing equipment there, and the addition, of the solar will be in congruence with that existing equipment. Happy to answer any questions.
all right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Tara, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Frank?
No, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, not because I don't care, but I don't have.
Fair enough, very similar.
Thank you. Guess, are there any members of the public that want to make a comment?
No,
In that case, the ARB will now go into discussion. Start with Tara.
Similar to the last project, I think that the reasoning that made by staff is appropriate and sound. I think that the solar array as proposed has a coordinated appearance from the entrance corridor. That work is needed on our end to develop some standards, seeing as a lot of these have very similar characteristics. I appreciate the applicant and staff's attention, and I think that it's an appropriate addition to the corridor.
Thanks a lot.
Once again, I agree with Tara. I think given that we set the precedent, the previous review item, very similar application, same site, same conditions, so I think it's appropriate in this context.
Right, thanks. I don't have anything meaningful to add, as usual, so we will take a look at the recommended motion.
This is the same recommendation as we just saw. It's for approval with the condition that any new equipment not included in this proposal is still subject to ARB review.
I move for approval of the proposal with the conditions listed in the staff report as follows.
Second.
Right, we could put that to a vote.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Nucino,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. And our last application is ARB 2025-21, Virginia Asphalt Services Solar.
This is another proposal to install solar panels, this one on the rooftop of the Virginia Asphalt Services building. The site is located on the west side of Avon Street Extended. It's in the vicinity of the city bus yard. The building is located approximately 60 feet from the street. And the ridge of the roof runs parallel to the street. And the panels are proposed for the street facing slope of the roof, so they will be visible from the corridor. The original proposal for this was for 14 solar panels, each measuring approximately 8 feet by 3 feet 9 inches by 1.4 inches, arranged in a single row, aligned with the ridge of the roof and set back from the edges of the roof. The panels would be installed parallel to and approximately 4 inches off the surface of the roof. The alignment with the edges of the roof and the linear arrangement will have an organized appearance and will help the panels appear integrated with the architectural design. The proposed panels are black with silver aluminum frames. Black frames would result in a more integrated appearance with the black roof. The applicant has indicated a willingness to use black panels with black frames, noting that the color combination is only available in smaller panels. That would require then more panels. It would be 19 panels, and they would need to be arranged in 2 parallel rows. The proposal also includes an inverter, AC disconnect, and a utility meter. They would be installed on the wall facing the entrance corridor. And that's the image on the right is the wall facing the entrance corridor. The image on the left is just an example of the equipment. Also, conduit would run from a junction box at the panels to the inverter. The wall-mounted equipment would be located near other existing wall-mounted equipment, and that's mostly screened by existing landscaping as you view it from the street today. Running the conduit on the interior of the building or painting it to match the exterior roof and wall, we think would sufficiently limit visual impacts. The applicant has indicated that painting conduit is possible and has been done on other projects. I've mentioned previously that the entrance corridor guidelines have guidelines regarding equipment, but not specific to solar panels. This proposal is obviously a little bit different from the previous 2 that you've just seen. It's got a sloped roof. It's much closer to the street. But like the other proposals, the panels are proposed in locations where they need to be to function properly. Again, visibility won't be eliminated, but it would be reduced by existing landscaping. It would be reduced if the panels are the black with black frames. Also, the organized arrangement of the panels, the installation parallel and close to the roof, and the painting of the conduit will all help maintain an organized and attractive appearance along the border. Again, those are all issues that are that you see in standard criteria for other localities that have guidelines for school specifically. For this particular proposal, we do recommend approval with the revisions and comments as noted in the staff report.
Well, thanks a lot. So we'll start with Tara again.
I don't. Thank you.
Right?
I don't. Thanks, Margaret.
I don't have any questions either. If the applicant has a presentation,
We did not prepare a presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions, so.
yeah. Well,
Please take your name if you want to.
Laura Spence with Sunday Solar.
Okay, thank you.
Michael Blaine with Sunday Solar.
Frank, you
What is the existing roof material?
Shingles.
There
Oh,
are-
no, it's standing seam there, sorry.
It's metal, like a
Mhm.
black metal. Thank you.
Tara.
Yes, so the image I saw in the staff presentation with the 2 rows of panels, that was the alternate for
Yes,
black frames.
yes.
And does the applicant have a revised proposal, or are you looking for direction on the appropriateness of the frame color?
No, we were just, hoping to get it, it's a REAP grant through the USDA, and so we've already got a set system size. And so because it's a pitched roof, putting it with black frame and black panel, we thought would get faster approval. So that the REAP grant's been waiting for like 2 years. So just hoping to get it moving forward with a black frame and a black panel. You'll really barely see it on that roof. But it does mean it has to be 10 panels and 9 panels, which was the picture on the bottom right. It won't have the white lines around it at all. That's just our design software. The picture on the left bottom is what the panels will look like.
So the proposal is now for this arrangement with the painted black frame, black panel.
It
black
will
painted
be,
content.
we were just waiting to see if this would get approval, and then we will get the recommendations and we will revise it and resubmit it with black frame, black panels.
Okay, great.
And painting the conduit.
Thanks for clarifying. Yeah. No other questions.
Yeah, and I don't have any questions either, so guess we'll go into discussion and start with Tara, if you have any comments.
No, I think that in this case, we have a closer view from the corridor, but I appreciate the applicant's willingness to find ways that at this scale still meet the same general guidelines that we've established in review of previous projects that maintain orderly and consistent spacing and arrangement of the panels, that they're and I think that the proposal to have the frame color and the conduit coordinate with the existing roof, further helps it its appearance when viewed from the corridor. And as far as the equipment on the rear wall, I've never noticed in the structure of the existing electrical equipment. I appreciate verifying that so I don't expect that new equipment will have any appreciable visual impact from the corridor. And I think given that it's in a location where there's already equipment, I think it's perfectly appropriate. So I think that this would be a reasonable addition to the corridor as well.
Thank you. Alfred.
I agree. I mean, I think too, looking contextually at this corridor, it helps that there's some industrial, kind of light industrial buildings. I do think so if I'm understanding correct, the image on the bottom right is what the configuration would be.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's actually better. It's like you're maximizing the roof. Yeah, I think it's appropriate given what we've just reviewed, previous two items, and
Thank you. Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I agree with what's been said, and I think as long as the applicant's fine with black frames, seems like we're all on the same page. So, take a look at the recommendation.
So the recommendation was for approval of the proposal with the conditions listed in the staff report. And it's worded this way because the proposal that's in the system is the original proposal. So these 4 items would account for the black panels with black frames, the alternate arrangement in the 2 parallel rows with the additional panels, and the conduit either running inside the building or be colored to match on the exterior.
Right, any adjustments or anything?
no. I'll move for approval of the proposal with the conditions listed in the staff report as follows. No changes.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Mitsino,
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, other business. I will move to adopt the August 18, 2025 minutes, if anybody would like to second that.
I'll second.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Mitsino,
Aye.
Mr. Henningsen.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Do any board members or staff have any other items they would like to discuss? In that case, the next ARB meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 8th, 2025. Is that right?
So there are items.
Okay. I guess Tara, can you attend that meeting?
Me too. Well, no, so that's for everybody.
Just you.
I believe I can.
But it is particularly important.
Yes.
Yeah.
I plan to attend.
Okay, yeah, me too. Right, in that case, watch it's 1:47. So this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.